Hi, and welcome to Healing with Marcus. This is Marcus, and I wanted to say welcome to any new viewers and welcome back to any of the old viewers. I'm very grateful for all the comments and all the likes and all of the subscriptions that are happening, and it's a very exciting journey to be on. Today's video is about the tools of the Matrix. It is a part of the series Stepping Out of the Matrix, Breaking Free from the Matrix. So today I would like to address the different tools that the Matrix is using to keep us in different states of fear. And one of the things that we can look at what's going on in our society is that most of us are cut off from a feeling of being powerful in ourselves. Most of us are taking in information from outside sources, which is okay, right? It's completely okay to take in information, but we do need to sit with it and discern for ourselves if this is something that you feel is in alignment to your deeper truth. So this is where it's all coming from. It's a way of helping us all to awaken to a deeper sense of truth inside of ourselves, a way for us to become more authentic. Unfortunately, the last 30, 40 years or so, the idea of authenticity has completely left our realm. The idea of honesty, as the amount of advertising and amount of sales have increased in our society, the amount of authenticity and honesty has also gone down. Almost like transparency, right? So what used to be more transparent, as in it used to at least seem like journalists were trying to truly reveal truths about corporations, about government, revealing it to the public so the public would be informed in their choices. Now, some of that was always a scheme, right, the scam, but a lot of it wasn't as scammy as it is nowadays. Nowadays, we have very, very, very little honest media out there. We have very few sources of integrity. Most of the messaging that is coming through to us is being paid or owned by different corporations, which in turn then has lobbied to a lot of the politicians. So almost all the politicians are in the pockets of the large corporations. Now, this is just an expression of the Matrix in our society. This is just an expression of the fear in our society. But nevertheless, it is still a part of the system we're living in. And for many years now, we have been basically indoctrinated into a way of thinking where authority of your life is not within you. Authority of what you feel is truthful or what you deem to be truthful, because of course we need to do our research. We need to look into things that come at us that are being told as truths or facts. Look into it, but for yourself. Look at both sides of something and where do you stand on the matter. This is the problem, that choice has been taken away from us more and more and more. Over the years, very clearly, our choice of what we believe to be truthful or not truthful is now being pumped into us from other sources. Now, why am I talking about this as a spiritual guide, a spiritual support person in our world? Because much of our spiritual awakening, much of our breaking free from the Matrix is about coming back home, coming into our deeper sense of who we are, who you were before your trauma set in. And quite a lot of the trauma is, of course, in our family of origin, in our circumstances that we grew up within, but a lot of it is also in the messaging that's coming at us from the outside. So the idea of coming back home is to guide you back into your inner sacred space, your sanctuary, so that you can discern for yourself what is your truth. The tools of the Matrix have been fine-tuned, fine-tuned, and fine-tuned more and more and more, so that we will have less and less of an opportunity to truly sit with our own inner sense of power. sense of honesty and authenticity. Now, we can look at one of the tools that the Matrix is using has, of course, been the school system. And at least for well over 100 years, it's been determined what we are supposed to learn in the schools and how we're supposed to be taught it, right? And on some levels, of course, maybe we were in an infancy of learning how to teach. Maybe we were at an infancy in developing systems of, well, we're going to teach kids this, we're going to teach them how to do this and that. That sort of led into, we're going to teach them about this, not that. So that the information that's being funneled through is fairly limited in its view. It's fairly much into what we would call the Matrix, also looking at what they call the Age of Enlightenment, which is a few hundred years ago in the 1700s. There was a movement of science into our society. There, even in the mid 1600s into the 1700s, was the Age of Enlightenment, and it was, in a way, it was beautiful because it started opening up our eyes that there are not always superstition, but because before that, many people lived in more layers of superstition. And to a certain degree, the superstition was also a low vibration because we were still giving away our power of our lives to outside sources. But with the Age of Enlightenment came the idea of science. And science in itself is, of course, not an evil in itself. But the way it got expressed into our lives, the way that we now can understand how the atoms are put together in a chair, how they are put together in the floor, in the lakes, in the ocean. We believe, because we have figured out how the different molecules are put together, that they create the H2O, they create all these things that we now think we understand, the basic principles of. It took away the magic. And it became a very base level understanding of our world. So we started coming into what we could call a box. We started realizing that, oh, okay, so there's nothing more to this body than the cells that are in here, and the cells are made up of atoms and small particles, and that's all there is. What happened was, we moved away from understanding the deeper teachings of energetic flows in our nature, energetic flows that are actually very, very truthful. But because we are believing that there's nothing more to this body than this skin and the bones, nails, because we believe that that's all there is, we don't see that there's a whole layer of energy all around each body that we carry around. And everything in existence has an energetic field. I was told that when I was about 14 in science class. They said, everything in existence has a field of energy, a measurable field of electromagnetic energy caused by the spinning of the atoms. What I didn't understand at the time was that, because at first it meant, okay, so everything has a field you can measure of electromagnetism. Okay. But they left it at that, right? Didn't go any further. And then we look at our crystals. We can look at the beautiful clear quartz or obsidian with cherry quartz. And we look at that as pieces of material, pieces of rock, pieces of crystal, not understanding that even from a scientific point of view, these carry a high frequency. Any kind of radio equipment has a small sliver of crystal quartz in it, because it carries a high frequency within itself. That when it comes to understanding, real understanding of the energetic flow of our nature, science so far has made very little progress. They have not come very far at understanding. that if everything in existence has a field of energy around it, so does your body. So does your body, based on both the electromagnetic field, but also on the blood flow in your system, creating heat radiation, the electrical currents going up and down your nerve endings, creating another layer of electromagnetic radiation. Everything in your system, even the motion, even movement of different forms, create energetic imprints, create a ripple. And one day I hope that science will reach this level of understanding, that they start looking into the unseen, into the world that so far is being portrayed as non-existent. And we can also then look at Earth Mother, being a huge body of matter, having a very big electromagnetic field. Both the electromagnetic field that reaches out into space, that protects us from some very harmful rays, but also, and radiation, and also the field of energy itself on our planet that is providing life for us. Humans, in our hubris, we think that we can create, we even think we can create life. We even think that AI can reach a level of self-awareness. Not understanding that AI is still based in ones and zeros, still based in a mechanical effect that we have created. Meaning there is no spark of life in it. The spark of life is what gives you your sovereign being. Spark of life is who you actually are. The energy in you, the soul in you. This spark can never be transferred into a machine until that machine also gets the spark of life. Now everything has an energy field, everything has a certain level of consciousness. But there are limits to that consciousness for things that are not growing. If you look at trees, if you look at grass, if you look at birds, it's all a carrier of life. It's all got the spark of life within it. And we do too, right? Every human, we are born and we are sustained by all the things that are coming out of Earth Mother. Everything that you eat, touch, drink, breathe is produced by the processes of Earth Mother. Your physical body is sustained by the processes that are inside of you, that are sustained by the energetic exchange coming from Earth Mother. And unfortunately, the details of science that came out in the Age of Enlightenment taught us to think that we don't need anything outside of ourselves, that we can create anything we want, that humans are in charge of this world. We created a box full of hubris, full of self-importance, where we did not understand. As if you look at indigenous tribes of all kinds from all across the globe, they know the deep, innate connection to Earth Mother. They know that we are sustained by the planet herself. But in the Western modern society, where most ideas are based in the Age of Enlightenment, we still believe that we are not connected to Earth Mother. So we live lives totally disconnected. And here's where it's returning back to the tools of the Matrix. Well, when you look at the news are spreading a level of fear. And every level of information that's coming at you, there's a level of fear in it. And it can be based in gossip, it can be based in negativity, it's based in negative projections, it's based in anger and fear, right? Fear is the underlying principle of all of it. That fear leads to separation. That fear leads us to think we're not like those people, we're not like those. Thank God I'm not like that person. Oh, I'm not like those people and I'm not like those people. That separation weakens us. It makes you see the outside of yourself or your whatever you believe you own that as a sign that you are not like those people over there or those people over there. They don't have the same things, they don't live the same way, they don't drive the same cars, whatever it might be. And we live in a separated world. And most of the news are designed, and that's where the Matrix have gotten tighter. And in a way, from the Matrix point of view, they've gotten better at separating us. They've gotten stronger at keeping us apart. Most of the messaging that's coming out is doing that. And as you learn to discern for yourself, is this really true? Is it really true that that thing is going on over there? Is it really true that whatever it might be, you know, that people are eating children, that people are, you know, doing whatever, you can look into all those things and start to discern for yourself, what do you truly believe? But look into it. Because often what comes on the surface isn't the whole truth, right? So when it's said that people are eating children, that's not true. But that people might be injecting themselves with things that are harvested from stem cells so that they can feel better, feel stronger, that could be true. So we were looking into these different levels of conspiracy theories in order for you to make up your own mind. Meanwhile, in order also to strengthen ourselves, we come back home. See, this is the only source of real information you can find. You can always find out facts and then make up your own mind, but to come back home is to come back into yourself, is to start to release certain forms of trauma out of our system so that when fear comes your way, you don't have to be blown over by the storm. So for the example, the last few years there was the big shutdown, the lockdown of our society. And in the beginning of it, I was like, why are people, because I was lucky for me, I was already sitting in a deep space. So, and I had my inner connectiveness going on. I had started growing roots into Earth Mother. I started feeling like, when the news started pumping this out, and it came out on all different social media platforms as well, about how dangerous this was, the disease that was coming out was horrible. I was like, but does the statistics support this? What does it really say? And then if you started looking into it, the statistics did not support what the reaction that we had in society. And if we then start looking at what the reaction actually caused, the lockdowns were much more harmful for our world, right? than what the actual disease was, right? So we actually have ripple effects that are going on through our energy field, through our lives for many years to come. We're going to be feeling the effects of those lockdowns and what it did to our psyche. Because it implemented more fear in our system, more neurotic nervousness. And even there was the idea that you can control what bacteria is coming towards you. You can control if a virus comes at you. The only way we can control that is by being strong in our energy system, by being very strong in both our physical immune system and our energy system. No outside source can do that for you. None. What we can do is support our immune system so it gets strong enough to handle when things come our way. It's not very tricky. That's not rocket science at all. But the news made us want to believe that. Just like the news wanted to, if we question the validity of the lockdowns and of all the things that were going on at the time, if we question it, we'd be banned, we'd be locked down, we'd be shut out. And it's a very unfortunate evolution of things, but at the same time, if you look at the bigger picture, when the Matrix is turning up the volume, turning up all the things that we are supposed to be afraid of, the wars, the diseases, the other people, the new behavior of other people, we are supposed to judge all these different forms of either gender politics or whatever it might be. We're supposed to be in a judgmental state. And as we go into that judgmental state, we start to separate ourselves. And then I'm not like them. I am not like them. And unfortunately, the Matrix is very successful at separating the races, separating the genders, separating all these different bases, that if we were in alignment with ourselves, when you come into alignment with yourself, it becomes so much easier to be an open human being, living with your heart open. And as we live with an open heart, we connect to other people, regardless of what walk of life they have, regardless of what color of skin they have, regardless of what gender they are. We have an open heart and we connect with other open-hearted people in the same frequency, the same vibration. And this is, on some levels, it's such a fallacy. It's such a mistake when we go into racist thinking, we go into fear-based thinking, we go into thinking about genders. Because when we look at this from a shamanistic perspective, when we look at this from an energetic, deeper perspective, we have walked this world before. We have been in this earth before in different bodies for thousands of years. The soul has walked through many lifetimes. In those lifetimes, most of us have been different genders, different races, even different species. Most of us have been connected to, we probably have been trees. We probably, parts of your life force energy have been grass. So as we start to understand that there's a connection to everything, and that if I, in a previous lifetime, was of a different race and a different gender, how can I be judging it in this lifetime? So we start to, and this is again, when you connect back home and you grow your roots into Earth Mother, you start to feel stronger. And we get the strength to start to question the narrative that's coming at us. The tools of the Matrix are very strong, and they've grown stronger. So in a way, we're facing a place in our lives, in our world, where we're going towards more and more bombardment from the outside, which is going to create more pressure, more fear, and negativity. But then you have people who are waking up, because that pressure, that negativity is also creating more questions. More of us are waking up going like, oh man, hang on, wait a second. A few months ago they said this, now they're saying that. Last year they said this, now they're saying that. We start to question the narrative. And as you begin to have the courage to question the narrative, you start gaining strength. At first it feels very insecure. At first it feels like, what am I supposed to believe in? But as you come back home and you start to realize, oh, my intuition was truthful the whole time. Life has been telling me things the whole time. My dreams, my visions, my feelings of what's right and wrong have been truthful the whole time, especially when you listen to heart, especially when you open up your heart. So we have the tools of the Matrix being the news, social media, the curated content that's coming through most of these things, government, school system, and corporations. These are the tools that are running our world, and they're also running the narrative of what we are allowed to question. And it's on a very low vibration, because it all feeds fear. And there's going to be more videos talking about why this is. There are many different reasons why fear is such a strong power in our society, but also there are reasons why it's being used the way it is. When a human lives in a state of separation, they live in fear. And that lower vibration of fear makes them think in different ways. We are more caught up in ego. Our walls are thicker. Our judgments are almost everywhere. And as you come back home deeper, you soften. And when we can see through the veil of the ego and the veil of the Matrix, we start to be able to discern and see that, oh, so that's just their ego acting out of fear. Oh, that person is just acting out of fear. That person is acting out of old programming. You can see through their egos and start to recognize that, oh, so When I'm in my ego, I act that way too. And when I'm able to sit in a deeper inner space, I don't have to act that way. Just like if they were able to sit outside of their ego, they would be able, and connecting deep into themselves, beyond the ego, they would not act that way anymore. So when we see that, we start to see through the veil of Maya. We start to understand deeper. And this is also where the idea of non-judgment comes in. That as we learn to sit in our energy field, and maybe we can see our lives more authentically, maybe we can see more honesty look at ourselves in a more honest light. At least I realize that there's been a lot of things in my life that I can be judged for. And that I'm grateful that now I can sit in a healing space, where this healing space is crossing ripple effects out onto our world. Just like when you move into your loving center, you create more love around you. And when we come from fear, we create more fear. Just like we also want to, if we bring awareness into ourselves, if we bring consciousness into ourselves, we start to pay attention to, oh, am I gossiping right now? Am I spreading negativity around me right now? Am I sharing something that I don't need to share about somebody else? Where am I coming from right now? So, beloved, thank you for watching the video. Click like and subscribe if this spoke to you. There's going to be more videos on the awakening from the matrix, breaking free from the matrix. And this was the tools of the matrix. Thank you. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. We'll talk soon. Namaste and aho.